Alright guys, we have a season 38 top 10 rating deck list that we will take a look at. Before we get the new pack on Thursday, if you have not seen what's in there, go check out the latest video on this channel. I have linked this up in the top right corner for you. But now we have the top 10 rating deck list. We will also take a look at Untapped to see what is going on in the meta right now. Spoiler alert, the selection pack that is coming on Thursday will probably not be a big hit, not make a big splash. But there actually was an interesting change, and as always, these top 10 rating deck lists are very interesting, not what you would expect at all. I honestly would have expected a lot of Snake Eyes, Azami, and Fiendsmith, but that's not really the case. We have the first place list here, which he played two separate decks. Firstly, Branded, and then Labyrinth. Labyrinth, a deck that I always basically advertise for because it's very, very flexible. We can see the new simultaneous equation cannon, which is why we also play cards like Charubin, the Fire Knight here. Storm Strikes are very going first strategy. We have Dimensional Barrier, extremely strong, obviously. And I think one of the best things to do is having the Destructive Daruma Karma Cannons in combination with Arias, the Labyrinth Battler. This can definitely shut down the opponent's turn. I mean, if this deck goes first, Skill Drain, Rivalry of the Warlords, Strikes, Daruma Karma Cannons, you will never ever play through this. But the problem with this deck is obviously going second. But with all of these cards, for example, a Butler going into the Karma Cannon, obviously you can skip your opponent's turn and then grind out your opponent. This is a deck that will always be strong as long as we have these strong traps, and there are always more traps coming. So I've already mentioned this in my video about the best decks to invest in, but this is a crazy deck, crazy strong. You can fit this to any meta, basically. This is a stay around. Labyrinth is super, super crazy. And obviously, go ahead, test this out for yourself. I have also copied this branded list and played it a bit. Felt great. We can see this classic 60 card list. We are playing, this is a bit strange, a Golden Sword Suit here. That's very interesting. We are playing triple Dark Ruler no more. I think this makes sense. A lot of the interruption is on the board in the decks that establish a big board. A lot of this is on the board, so Dark Ruler definitely goes hard. We have Gold Sack at 2 in comparison to the TCG and OCG. This will be relevant in the future when Malice comes also. And then we are playing only one branded opening, which I found very, very interesting. Also only 2 fusion deployments here, but we are playing branded in high spirits ×3. One of the best things that you can do here is branded in high spirits for the Bestial Saronir. This generates so much advantage. Obviously we have branded retribution at 2 here and the fusion duplication, which is insane. We don't lock anything. We have the Sanctifier Dragon here, but nothing here to lock. But I also think that branded does not really need this strategy. It can also win without the locking. And we have the new Chaos Star Source Dragon, which is really cool. Branded always has a hard time destroying cards, which is why Bowload Furious Dragon is such a good card in this deck. But the new Chaos Star Sword Dragon also in the TCG is played a lot. If this card is fusion summoned, you can target cards your opponent controls up to the number of light and dark monsters used as this card's material, which obviously you have 2, and then destroy them. Very strong card. Branded always having a hard time destroying cards, but this definitely helps. So this is our first place here. Crazy lists, and definitely both look very, very promising and very successful. Then we have the next list. Here's something that is more to be expected. We have a Snake Eyes, Fiendsmiths without Azamina actually variant, but with the Millennium cards. And I was wondering why we are even playing this, and we will see even more of this. I think we can, those are level 8s, we can, this is a level 6 actually, but we can establish 2 of the Sanguine and then go into, for example, the Galaxy S Photonaut, or we could use one Golem, which is level 6, and then maybe one Fiendsmith Engraver to go into Beatrice and start our plays with that. We are also playing a Weiju Temple, but this also means that we can make the Snake Eyes Doomed Dragon either on our opponent's turn. So if our opponent went first, we can interrupt him with the Doomed Dragon, or on our own turn as an additional body. I find it very interesting that this tech basically has found its way into the meta. As I already said, we will see this in a few deck lists on here. We've never seen this in the TCG. I'm not even sure why, because we also had the same combination in the TCG. Maybe this came a bit late, but I think we had this in the game. At the same time, we had the Snake Eyes stuff here. So this is a very interesting trend here, deciding to play the Millennium package over the Azamina package, which I think is crazy, but Oh, it was successful, supposedly. We have another 60 card branded list, once again with the Golden Sword Soul and the Kashiwa package. I think the Kashiwa package, once again Dark Ruler by the way, the Kashiwa package makes a lot of sense, especially the Unicorn. A lot of the extra deck you can see right here, all of them are one-offs, and you can pull very important cards like the Princess, like the Requiem. And if you start, for example, and get hand-trapped, then you can rip 2 cards, which could be a Requiem here and a Promethean Princess, and then definitely hinder your opponent from playing the game to a very strong point. In branded, there are also a lot of good targets for Labyrinth. Obviously, it's not that irrelevant. So I really like the Kashiwa engine. Obviously, it is better going first, but going second, having a Fenrir to play into the opponent's board is also good. You're playing 1 buff here and 1 times the field spell. So Kashiwa definitely still a strong package and will remain so in the future. We have the Chaos Dragon in here. Same list, basically, kind of. They have triple Forbidden Droplet, the other list only had 1. We have, unfortunately, no 4th place list here, but we have 5th place. There is White Forest once again with this package here. Interesting. We're also playing 1 Yugioh Temple. And I guess, once again, we can use this for Beatrice if we have 2 Golems. Not quite sure what you are using these level 8s for. I guess we can synchro with them into a level 10, maybe a Baron, I would assume. But you can also just, if you start a Yugioh Temple, I guess what you can do is start with the Temple, then place something in the Spell Trap, get a Sangajin, get a Golem, and those 2 bodies make a Moon of the Closed Heaven into the Fiendsmith engine. I guess we can also see this in this deck here. We have the Moon here. I guess this is what's happening here, because these can just make the Fiendsmith engine, which can then, for example, go into your Beatrice and start your plays. I think this is why we are playing this. Very interesting. We have 6th place here, a stun list. Stun never dies, basically. We have Mirror Force in here. I've never seen a stun list playing Mirror Force. Very interesting. Other than that, there's nothing positive I can say about a list like this. I don't really understand. You can let me know in the comments what your opinion on this is. I don't really understand why people are playing stun. I think it's super, super boring. I also thought Runic was kind of boring, at least the stun variant. Obviously, Time Tearing Morganite extremely good for these stun decks. I'm not saying that this is not effective, because if you go first, then your opponent will most likely not break this. But if you go second, then you will most likely not break your opponent's board. As we can see, there is no evenly matched or something. Our only breaker is super poly. I guess we want to shift the opponent to maxi the opponent so we can pass the turnover. Other than that, I don't really see how we ever win going second. Crazy strategy, the stun strategy, in my opinion. By the way, if you like my videos, please consider subscribing, hitting the thumbs up and the notification bell. This would help me out a lot. Thank you. 7th place, once again, 2 lists. We have the Snake Eyes Millennium list, once again without Azamina. We can see the Zombie Vampire, which is also level 8, which you can achieve probably with 1 Sangajin and then another Sangajin, question mark, or maybe the Flame Bird Strength could also work. And then again, we are seeing the Moon of the Closed Heaven, so this is probably the route that we are going for with the Yugioh Temple. And then we can see White Forest list that the same player has played with the Kashiwa package. We have already talked about this. It makes a lot of sense, in my opinion, because of the one-offs in the extra deck. The 8th place is not available to us. In the 9th place, we have once again a White Forest list here, once again with the Kashiwa package. This time a bit smaller. We have no Fenrir, which I think if I would play this package, I would definitely play a Fenrir just to have a better option going into my opponent's board. Because if I go into the opponent's board, let's say I start with a Wraith Soft, I don't really want to search Unicorn. Unicorn doesn't really help me play into a board, but Fenrir does. So I definitely want a Fenrir in here, but this person decided to do it a bit differently. And then at the last list, we once again have a stun list here, similar to the other stun list. Maybe these players know each other, because this actually looks kind of similar. We don't have a breaker, but we have the super poly. We have all the solemn strikes. So going first, you are never going to break this. So I guess this relies a lot on having the ability to win the coin flip, basically. But I guess if you can break the board with a super poly, maybe the board is a bit weaker with the dimension shifter, then you can establish your floodgate style cards and then probably win the game. Yeah, I mean, stun still works, even though we have a lot of the floodgates at 1, as we can see right here. It is what it is. It will probably stay in the meta for a while. But yeah, I think other than that, this is quite diverse. I have to say, say. Obviously, you have some repetitions here, but a lot of different decks being good in the top 10 rating deck list, which I think is always a sign for a good format. We can quickly hop on over to Untap to check out the ranked ladder, the state of the ranked ladder. You can see Temper Dragon is once again very, very strong. That's to be expected, honestly. We have a lot of the relevant cards still for Temper Dragon. We will see whether on the next ban list this will once again receive a hit. White Forest being very, very good with high win rates here. And then we have Duel as well as Exodia. Exodia took the best place last time around, and you can see it's quite represented in Master rank, which is interesting. We have Centurion obviously receiving their support within the future, and Snake Eyes not being that successful. And then you can see right here there are decks that are performing okay. Branded is to be expected, since you have to play Branded very well, same as with Labyrinth, to really be successful with it. There's a Blue Eyes list, not quite sure whether this is really Blue Eyes. No, okay, this is White Forest, yeah. The game was confusing White Forest with Blue Eyes. Then again, White Forest is also up here, so maybe it changes a bit. This will probably be the real Blue Eyes in the future, because obviously we see new Blue Eyes cards. We have Kashtira Pure. This makes sense, kind of a stun Kashtira variant. This can definitely work, as we can see right here. But yeah, I think the meta is actually not at a bad point. I'm also not seeing like only Snake Eyes variants. It's not like in the Tear Element times, where Tear Element was by far the best deck, where you would only see Tear Elements. Fortunately, we don't have this right now. Blue Eyes will definitely be a nice addition to this, but not really change a lot. And then I think at the moment Master Duel is quite healthy. You can let me know in the comments what your opinion on this is. I'm very interested. Obviously, we will make videos concerning the new pack and all the new Blue Eyes variants in the future here on the channel. Thanks for being here, and obviously, as always, we see each other in the next one.